Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the ReQuest. It's me, Captain Logan. Joining me, as always, is my fantastic co-host, Austin, otherwise known as The Day Ghost. And tonight, Austin and I are going to talk about a thriller that came out in 2004, almost 20 years ago now, Austin, and a movie that I had never heard of before called Collateral, which apparently was somewhat popular and did really well at the box office. It had I think $60 million budget, and it did somewhere between 2 and 250. Like, it did really well. And I missed the boat on this entirely. And I was seeing quite a bit of movies in the theater at this time. I wasn't working at the theater anymore. I did that in 2003, senior year of high school. And then the following year, I wasn't there anymore. But I was still going to a lot of movies, and somehow I didn't see previews or anything for there. Or if I did, I don't remember them. Maybe it just looked like another dime a dozen thriller and I didn't bother to see it. I don't know. But had you heard of this?
Yeah, so when I was in high school and I started looking at just like more and more reviews on YouTube and just kind of expanding outwards, I heard about this movie quite a bit. And I heard great things for years and never bothered with it.
Yeah, it seems like it was pretty acclaimed at the time. It seemed like it was kind of universally liked, and fans after that seemed to really like it. And it doesn't sound like a ton of complaints with this. And I think some of that is maybe the novelty of just, especially looking at some of the contemporary reaction response to this. I took a look at Roger Ebert's review and a couple of other things. It seems like people were really excited to get to see Tom Cruise as a bad guy. Mm-hmm. That seemed to be a big kind of new, change of form.
Yeah, kind of getting away from Tom Cruise, the movie star, and bringing in the very rare Tom Cruise we see sometimes, which is Tom Cruise, the character actor.
Yeah, he's doing a thing with this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not just being Tom Cruise, stalwart action hero guy like he usually is. Mm-hmm. Very far away from typecasting. Carl Maxey, I've seen this. It says in the comments live here, and welcome if you're watching live. Hi there, and after the fact as well as always. Appreciate you guys. I've seen this a bunch of times. He says Tom Cruise plays a great villain with this and Interview with the Vampire. Good call, and that's probably the only other thing I can think of just here in the moment where I've seen him play a villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I've never seen that. I was thinking of weirdly enough, because my head was more on like the character actor he plays. I was thinking about, this is only like a few years before Tropic Thunder, where he plays like a very different character for Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and I saw some comments in a video or somewhere where people were saying that this was maybe his best performance up with or next to Tropic Thunder. I saw that comment a couple times from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me to hear. And Jamie Foxx got a Best Supporting Actor nomination at the Oscars, despite being the lead character.
Bewildering. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to bring that up later. I guess we could talk about that now. That was really strange. Real quick, let me mention that this was requested on Patreon by Hot Soup. Thanks a lot to him. He always picks interesting things. And like I said, I can't believe that this was totally off my radar. Mm-hmm. Especially given some other thrillers like a couple years before, a couple years after this, that I did see that are not great, that kind of pale in comparison to this.
Just kind of sandwiched right between crap.
Yeah, I'm reminded of things like Vantage Point.
Oh, so I don't remember Vantage Point, but I can tell just by the title what kind of movie that is. That's one of those.
That's one of those movies that thinks it's a lot smarter than it is. It stars the guy that plays Jack in Lost. And it's like there's this terrorist attack that happens, and there's all these people that saw it from different angles, and depending on where you're standing, it looked different. And so you piece all those things together, and you get the real picture. And it's just not anything like as interesting or smart as it sounds. My wife and I saw that in the theater. It's not great.
That's pretty funny.
I'm like, how did I go to see that? But I missed this. Like. It's really interesting. But anyway, Austin and I have not talked about this ahead of time. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we come into this having already, almost like done a prep session or something. Not on purpose, but sometimes we have more conversation than we probably ought to before we start. I have no idea what Austin took from this, and beyond what I've said so far, Austin doesn't know what I think about this either. So it'll be kind of fun to do sort of sign flips here in a second. But the weird thing about the Oscar nod is, as Austin alluded to, Jamie Foxx, if you've not seen this movie, is the protagonist. Like, indisputably, it isn't. Oh, maybe he and Tom Cruise are dual protagonists. No, Tom Cruise is the villain.
He's the antagonist.
Yeah, and like you can make the argument that he has something of an arc, certainly, but as the antagonist, as the bad guy, they each maybe teach each other something, and there's interesting kind of ethical and philosophical questions in comparing the two. They both have different kind of ideologies and worldviews that are pitted up against each other throughout the movie. But Jamie Foxx, whose character, is obviously not perfect and has something to learn and has character growth throughout the movie, because it's like a story. It's like a real movie. But we've been saying that a lot lately on the show, which is nice because that means people are giving us better movies. But sort of like last week's movie, it's like, oh yeah, it's like a movie. That's kind of nice. What did we do last week? We did that 70s thriller.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of the name of it.
I can't think of the name either, but it was really good with Jane Fonda and
Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon.
Something about China.
The Chinese
China syndrome.
Yeah,
it took the both of us, but we got there. Anyway, I'll reveal in just a little while if I liked this movie as well as I liked that movie. But anyway, yeah. How do you get to best supporting actor? The cynical part of my brain says it's like a token nomination where like the Academy never was actually going to entertain really giving him that, but like
we see that a lot.
Again, this is very cynical, but it felt like maybe it's 2004. Maybe it's a diversity thing. Maybe like I don't know.
What it reminds me of.
But I wouldn't have thought of that if they'd said best actor. But he's the lead.
It reminds me of True Grit. The main actress in that, Harley Steinfeld, who plays Kate Bishop in the MCU, she won Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars for True Grit, and she's the lead character.
Okay. So yeah, it happens then.
Yeah.
Is it just based on whose name is on the poster selling it? Because like Tom Cruise's name is probably higher than Jamie Foxx's.
So I mentioned in the Discord, I was like, what's that about?
Hold on, Daniverse has an interesting point. He says it's because he was up against himself. For what?
For Ray. And I think, didn't he win?
That was 04. There you go. Okay, well then never mind. That's not a. I can throw the cynical part of my brain out there.
Yeah,
that's
so
that's not a diversity thing at all. That's
Didn't he win that for Ray?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Did he not? I'll have to look that up. That movie is spectacular, by the way.
Although I want that version of the Oscars where they're like Jamie Foxx for Ray and Jamie Foxx for Collateral.
And then why do that? Because, like, however, whatever we think about this movie, you ain't gonna beat out Ray with Collateral. Like,
well, now I just wish he could go back in time and he could win Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor, because that'd be funny.
Oh, she was nominated and didn't win though. Yeah, but I want to know. I want to know if he won for Ray though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, for some reason I thought she won.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't. I've always heard that's like his best performance.
That is the movie he did win for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go. Well, we'll throw this whole thing. It's still kind of weird though.
Let's delete this video. We look like idiots.
Yeah,
start over.
We're really senior nerd. Finally, Cap looked at the chat. Yeah, well, I got a lot going on. Got to make sure we really talk this movie up. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. Hey, Austin.
Yes.
Why don't you give us a real brief synopsis of this movie, and then we're going to go linearly all the way through it and kind of break it down scene by scene, because it's a pretty simple story. It's almost a real-time kind of movie. The whole thing takes place over a single night, and it'll be I think, easier for us to get our thoughts out, just kind of, going through it play by play and hashing it out.
Okay, so Collateral is a movie about Jamie Foxx, who is a taxi driver, and he wants to make his own limo company, and he gives a ride to a lawyer who is Jada Pinkett Smith, and they kind of hit it off. And then his next client that he gets in his taxi is Tom Cruise, who is like an assassin guy. And then it's, like Cap said, kind of like a linear event thing throughout the night of the two of them going around, and he's got to drive Tom Cruise around for different people he's got to hit.
Yeah, he pays him to do it, but he also does it under duress. And Tom Cruise is kind of holding him at gunpoint and tying him to the steering wheel, and it's in a weird way almost like a cat and mouse thing, because like he's not chasing him the whole movie, but he keeps trying to get away. So it's like,
well, I've never seen this, so
it's
I could
like
be
if Sylvester
off, but...
the cat kept catching Tweety Bird, but then he ran off.
Yeah, that's true too. I've never seen this, so I could be entirely off. But isn't it kind of like Phone Booth? Isn't that kind of like a thing with that, where like he's stuck in the phone booth? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have compared it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real different kind of movie, just because that is much more of a one-room drama. But just premise-wise, no, I mean, they're very different things. Because that's like I don't know, that's more of a terrorist-y kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
That's more of a, it's, if this is a hostage situation, it's a mobile hostage situation, but like he's using Jamie Foxx to help him out, and I get the sense he probably does that like on a regular basis. It's not a revenge thing.
Yeah.
And with Phone Booth, it's like, sorry, I wasn't expecting that to come up, so like I wasn't prepared for this. But with Phone Booth, it's more, I'm trying to teach this guy a lesson by trapping him in the phone booth.
Oh, okay. See, I just knew that was
it's
like
more
a
sadistic
thing, so that's why I went, maybe it's like that, but I haven't seen it, so I could be entirely off.
Yeah. I mean, like they're both hard-edged thrillers, but this is much more of a neo-noir kind of thing. Yeah. And that, from at least the perspective of Colin Farrell, is much more of a like terror kind of horror thing. But the movie's not horror. I don't mean that, but
yeah. Oh, okay. There we go. I got schooled. We're both getting schooled tonight. That's the...
Yes, we are. This is better than Phone Booth, by the way. Which is a movie that I always really liked, and then I made the mistake of going back and reviewing it. And then I was like, oh, this isn't as great as I thought it was. I've had that with a few things.
It's like source code. Those kinds of movies.
Hey, Austin, why don't we just do sort of quick sign flips for this? Because I'm curious to know how well you enjoyed this. And then
I've been trying my best to have my best poker face. So.
Yeah, because I really don't know where you land at all. And then we'll go kind of play by play. And because I have some kind of questions about some details and things here and there as we go. And this is one of those movies that I really wish I'd had time to look at a second time. Because I think my part of it would probably be a better discussion. But because like I feel like maybe I would have different feelings about it to some degree with another viewing. But how did you feel about it?
I thought Collateral was... I don't know if it is, but I think there's an argument to be made that this is maybe the best ReQuest we've ever done.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, no, I thought this was really good.
So the reason I didn't want to talk to you at all beforehand is I finished this and I went, I don't know where Austin lands on this.
Yeah.
I was like, he could love this. He could hate this. He could be kind of nothing with this. So I'm actually shocked to hear you say that.
Yeah, no,
I will
really
go on record to say I don't think it's as good as the movie we did last week.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I like it as well as China Syndrome.
That's fair. I also needed a better viewing of China Syndrome. Like, I like that movie a lot, but I had like too wonky of a viewing with it. But
yeah, I remember that. 'Cause you were kind of half sick and you saw it over 2 days. And...
Yeah, and I like passed out the first time.
Oh, that's right.
Go back to it. But no.
Okay, so why did you enjoy this as much as you did?
I don't know. It was just I was with it the entire time. Like I was just Like I found it very thrilling. I really liked all the characters. It really hooks me in that like initial scene where Jamie Foxx picks up Jada Pinkett Smith. I thought like everything about that scene was like wonderful,
I did too.
and it just like hooks me immediately, and then I'm with it through the whole film.
A
And,
lot of kind of jaw drop moments, right?
yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
places where I just didn't expect it to go where it went, and it takes some pretty cool risks, and
Mhm.
it's it's shocking, but it's not like it's not horribly sensational and like plot twisty. Like most everything adds up okay as you go along. I've got some kind of like uh coincidence questions toward the end, but I don't know if a second viewing doesn't clear it up.
Mhm.
I'm trying to decide how spoilers. I'm trying to decide how convenient it is that Jada Pinkett Smith is who he's going after as the fifth person at the end. I can't decide if that tracks well enough.
Mhm.
And that was the one part that was reading a little bit typical to me, where it's like, okay, she has to just be introduced to be the damsel in distress at the end.
So that didn't bother me, but I assumed that's where we were going through a lot of it. Like as we kind of pulled back the curtain a little bit more on who he was going after, I was like, okay, that's the only possible person the last one could be is her.
Do you think they? But why, except for the fact that they introduced her at the beginning, we haven't seen her again yet, and we know she's like a big time lawyer.
So it has to do with how she describes the trial that she has.
See, it's stuff like that. Because when I went back and kind of read a plot synopsis, I was like, okay, there's some things that are clearly set up at the beginning that I'm forgetting, like
Well,
bits
it's
of
like that kind
dialogue
of
and
setup you
stuff.
don't think of as setup. Like
Yes,
you're not like exactly pinning it. So if you're not doing it, it's easy to kind of lose some of that stuff as you go along.
and then a movie like that always reads tighter on a second viewing.
Yeah,
Like,
because
oh,
there's
there
so
were these
much going on.
breadcrumbs, but I didn't understand that they were breadcrumbs in the beginning.
Well, and I almost feel like that kind of first scene in the cab with the two of them is like a perfect short film. Like even divorced from the rest of the movie. Like obviously, I think it works in the movie, and the movie itself is really good. But like that scene itself is almost so tight that you could pull it out and it's an effective short film just as is.
Absolutely. Well,
And I
what's
think
kind of
that's
neat is this is one of those movies that I very effectively, almost like anti establishes tone, or almost establishes the wrong tone, if that makes sense, and then subverts where you're expecting it to go. Because I mean, it always feels like it's in the same world and it's always of the same piece, but like the first 10 minutes of this movie could be setting up any kind of genre movie very easily.
it could be like the most charming
Romance,
rom-com, exactly.
just a romantic film, and it's not even at the end of the day really a romantic thriller. Like I don't even know if they get together at the end. It's not really about that.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, it could have been a very sophisticated rom-com even.
Mhm.
Like it's not like
No,
laugh out loud
absolutely.
at the beginning or anything, but like it could have been kind of a smart comedy. What else could it have been? I mean, it could have been a different kind
Cloverfield.
of. Say it again.
So Cloverfield, it takes
Sure,
a
it could have
real
been a
weird
disaster
twist.
film. Absolutely, yeah. It could have been an alien invasion movie. Could have
Yeah,
turned into a sci-fi thing. Could have been anything.
yeah, no, exactly. Could have been Terminator.
So yeah, when I say like it establishes it doesn't really establish tone, but it's doing that effectively. I mean, it doesn't feel like a thriller. You're
Mhm.
not sitting there like waiting for the other shoe to drop, but then it does.
Mhm. Yeah, no, exactly. No, the that opening like 5-10 minutes or whatever is it's just like really charming. Like you're just seeing these two characters kind of bounce off each other, and I don't know, it's really sweet.
Yeah, it felt like almost like a like it could have gone to like an urban version of like Before Sunrise or something.
Oh, okay.
Could have been like that.
Yeah.
Versus the meet cute thing.
Mhm.
Like these two people meet for the first time, and there's this possibility that they won't get together just because neither of them makes a move. But then somebody makes a move, and then they're together
Yeah,
the rest of the
I
movie.
was right there with him. Like when she walks out of the cab and he's like, I was like, I feel that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really relatable.
hmm Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that was reminding me of a thing that happened to me when I was younger.
hmm
You
Yeah,
know, that like when you really hit it off with somebody, but it's a total stranger, and in my case, it was like not even in the city that I live. So it's like, do I try to get her number? Or do it? You know what I mean?
oh yeah, no, I've been there too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know, it's really effective,
The
and I
writing
think.
was really believable.
Mhm.
And I think for the most part that's true all the way through, but it's so weird, right? Like the character work is all really realistic. And then like I said, it does have a little bit of a heightened noir quality. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure that when it comes to the hitman part of it that it's altogether realistic, but it but like it's consistent. It all feels like it works in this reality, I guess.
yeah, none of that stuff really takes me out. Yeah, absolutely.
Like it has an internal logic with all of that.
Yeah, exactly. It sets up what the world is, and I think it does a good job following it. I also think it does a really good job of keeping me guessing.
Yeah.
Like throughout the movie, I'm not always entirely sure that Tom Cruise is ultimately going to be the main villain. Like there are parts where I'm like, we're gonna twist this at some point. Like I don't know. And then there was even a part in the bar, and I felt really stupid afterwards for thinking about it, where I thought he was maybe gonna die in that scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I was like, man, like this is just really effective. Like,
Oh, you mean like toward the end of the second act during the like ready steady go part?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but there's the big shootout in the club. I said bar, but it's a
I
club.
was Yeah, well when you said that initially I wasn't sure if you meant the jazz club or
Yeah,
the
that's
like
more of a
techno
bar.
scene, but yeah, I
Yeah, it was
was
the club.
I was very distracted by the music in that scene because that just brought me right back to that time period. It was the first thing that made it like very especially dated for me, and
Okay, I've never
I
heard
was
that
like, oh,
song.
this song was really big when I was in high school, and I listened to that a lot, and and all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is an early 2000s movie. I wasn't really thinking that much about time period while I was going through, except for particular actors and things. It's interesting to see Mark Ruffalo in disguise.
hmm Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's got just a bizarre look in this movie.
Yeah. I want to say he disappears, but like it's Mark Ruffalo, and immediately I recognized him. I had that like 30 seconds where I was like, I don't actually totally know who this is, but the like cadence of the speech and the and facial expressions are reminding me of someone. Like, is that Mark Ruffalo? And then I had that
Yeah.
second where I was like, is Mark Ruffalo actually a Hispanic guy? And then I was like, is this character a Hispanic guy?
It's
And then it stopped
ambiguous.
mattering. Like I didn't really care ultimately, but I was like, well, and like, is he 30 pounds lighter than I'm used to seeing him?
He's got like a baby face too, as
Yeah,
well as like the slicked back hair, and he's got like a soul patch, I think.
yeah, he's got a soul patch.
Yeah.
No, he's in disguise. You know, you're talking about actors who do really good character work. Like he and Tom Cruise are both doing like the character actor thing.
hmm Yeah, exactly. Well, and then too, like we get Javier Bardem later, and I was like, I think this is the earliest I've ever seen him in anything.
Yeah. Well, and then the agent guy that's kind of running the sting operation toward the end is an actor that I only know from a really goofy episode of Star Trek Voyager. He is the second Captain Braxton. And I don't know why they had to recast that guy, but there's a captain from the 26th century who is a time traveler, and he's in a third season episode, and then they bring him back, and he looks completely different, and he's older, and he's this guy in an episode called Relativity. That's one of the silliest time travel episodes in all of Star Trek, and that took me a couple minutes too. I was like, I know this guy from something. Is that freaking Braxton? What is he doing in this movie? Okay, he's pretty good.
Mhm. Yeah,
I mean,
I think all
everybody's
the
good in
actors.
this.
Yeah, exactly. Even Jada Pinkett Smith makes me believe that she's not an insane person.
No,
Everyone's doing a really good
and I
job.
thought, well, to be fair, I have liked her and stuff,
Mhm.
but I thought that she and Fox had really good chemistry.
They have amazing chemistry. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you have the thing I did? I had to keep reminding myself that's who she was because she was just that character to me. Like,
No, that was I think the only actor that like I've seen in other things where it took me a minute to realize like, oh, wait a minute. And I think maybe because she has longer hair and I'm not as used to that anymore.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
and
yeah.
the thing that I would have seen her just prior to this in, and probably the last movie she did right before this, I think she had shorter hair, and that's Matrix Reloaded.
Oh yeah, and I haven't seen any of the Matrix sequels. I
That's
forgot she was in those.
That's '03. That's right before this. Yeah, she's in all three of the Matrix sequels. She's in 4 too.
Oh yeah, that's right. 'Cause
She's
she's like an old woman, right?
she's an old version. Yeah, she's one of the only characters from those they bring back.
Oh, okay. That's so weird.
It's her and the Indian girl from 3, and Merovingian has a cameo. Like there's a few characters they bring back,
Mhm. Oh, okay.
but I digress.
Yeah. No, I think she completely disappears. And then obviously like Tom Cruise, it's Tom Cruise. So there's like I don't think Tom Cruise could ever really disappear in anything, but he does the best that he
But I'm
can
not
with
thinking
that.
about him as Tom
Exactly.
Cruise.
Exactly. Like
He does absolutely
he's really great.
embody the sky. Yeah. And
No, my
it's such a
Letterboxd review was like, can we get less action movie Tom Cruise and more character actor Tom Cruise, please?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that. Just let him kind of stretch his legs.
He's wonderfully intense, right?
Mhm.
Like the whole movie, like you said, you never know what he's gonna do. He provides a lot of the tension, and he's weirdly in places almost sympathetic, like in almost
Absolutely.
pathetic in a way, where like he's trying so hard to uh justify his behavior as a hitman with this sort of like nihilistic, almost Dark Knight Joker philosophy that you can't decide if he even 100% buys into. It's like he's protesting too much.
Well, I like that he kind of just throws out platitudes when
Yeah.
he kind of talks about himself. He's like, this, that, philosophy.
Yeah, but it's not random.
No, it's not.
Like it is all of a particular philosophy and thought process, right? Like his whole justification. Again, I don't know how much of it he actually buys into. His whole justification is there are like billions of people in the world, and when somebody bites the dust, how many people does it actually impact? How many people actually care? Like and like how civilized, again, kind of the Joker thing. How civilized of a society are we really? Like we pretend like we really care about each other, but when push comes to shove, when people die all the time, and we just move on. And so he's like, I'm just part of a natural process. He even, I liked this a lot. This was a really cool kind of subtle choice, I thought, in the script, where he says, everybody that I kill deserves to die. And he doesn't actually know that that's true. And that gets really flimsy toward the end. And I start to get really suspicious about what he really believes in. Because he's like, yeah, these are just bad people that I'm killing. But it's a contradiction, because he is also saying it doesn't really matter if anybody dies.
Yeah, I get the sense that he's kind of told himself, these things to kind of get through the work. Like that's why I said the kind of platitude thing was like, I forget what it is exactly. There's like a few things he just kind of throws out names of, where he's like, oh, this. And Jamie Foxx does it later on when he's pretending to be him.
Yeah.
And I get the sense that it's like he's said it to himself in the mirror kind of a thing, where he's like, well, this is why I do it, this and this,
or maybe on his because you can't tell how well read he is, or how,
because he doesn't really get into that stuff. He doesn't break it down. He's just like,
it's very surface.
These are the things, yeah.
Which makes you think maybe on his off time he's done a little bit of research. He's done like like the bare minimum amount of reading about of like philosophers or people in history that share what he wants his viewpoint to be, so that he's got just a foundation that he can point to where he's like, no, this is a real thing.
Yeah, and
that's kind of what it felt like. No, you're right when you say platitudes.
And I look at too that there's that moment where he's talking to Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx is like, murder's bad. I don't want any part of this. And Tom Cruise goes, yeah, well, they're all bad people, so it's okay, right? And Jamie Foxx is like, yeah, I guess so. And then Tom Cruise is like, well, you just believed that. Like that's not actually true. Like I think there's an element of that to himself.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. How he sees
the world.
Yeah, it's interesting the ways that Jamie Foxx's character is almost positively influenced by him.
Yeah, I really like we get a scene where the kind of cab boss calls them on whatever the radio thing is, and Tom Cruise gets him to stand up to his boss, and then later on you see that kind of flipped where Jamie Foxx stands up to who is essentially Tom Cruise's boss and disguises him, and I thought all that stuff was really cool.
He's kind of helping him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but there's different ways in which not Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx is kind of growing as a person.
Yeah, it's like they're both somewhat extreme in their viewpoints, or at least in Jamie Foxx's case, he's not very self-aware about like the point in life he's at versus where he wants to be. Mm-hmm. And he's actually gaining some insights from the super extreme, almost like megalomaniacal Tom Cruise character. And so but Tom Cruise in places has a point. So for Tom Cruise, it's like, live in the moment, take life by the horns, take risks. And Jamie Foxx would like to do that, but maybe he's playing things a little bit too safe. He's in denial about how much time he's been wasting, just kind of spinning his wheels almost literally as a taxi driver, and just going through the motions while he's claiming to be building towards something. He wants to have a limo company. And he's like, I'm waiting for it to be perfect, and I'm building up the money that I need. But it's like, how much has he really saved back? What has he really accomplished? He's been doing this for 12 years. And, if Tom Cruise were to learn anything from his character, it would be that, maybe he actually should play it safe some of the time. And Jamie Foxx needs to learn how to, live a little and learn how to improvise. So I love the jazz metaphor a lot. And the best way to live is like somewhere in between these two guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting how they both put up a front, right? Like Tom Cruise, as we kind of talked about, where he has these ways in which he justifies what he does. And then when you start the movie, you get that initial scene we talked about, and Jamie Foxx talks about his limo company, and you get the sense that, like, any day now it's coming. And as you go through the movie, you realize that it's not really like it's that dream thing that like most people have, right? Where it's always just it's tomorrow, right? Like it's that kind of a thing, and you kind of break that down, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And,
but that doesn't mean that he should be, more like Tom Cruise's character.
Yeah.
In a way, that guy's almost like living the dream, and it's like a pipe dream. It's not a thing anybody ought to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We're like he's getting away with all these insane illegal things, and he's been doing this for 6 years, and he's never gotten caught. And like I assume that he is very wealthy over it. We don't know anything. Like I love how mysterious that character is. Mm-hmm. We don't know anything about like
so much
how he lives or. Mm-hmm. We've just been calling these guys by their actor names, but Tom Cruise is Vincent, does not have a last name.
Mhm.
I
And then Jamie
probably not
Foxx
even
is
his real
Max.
name, right? I'm gonna assume.
Yeah, probably not. It's probably some sort of thing that he puts on.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx's name is Max, but he actually has a last name,
Mhm. Yeah, it's something. I think it
which
starts with a G.
it starts with a D. It's like
Oh,
Durisher.
rats. I was
I
close.
Let me back off for a second, and then, if you don't mind, I do want to do the real quick, kind of literal go through the movie thing. We're starting that a little bit late, so hopefully it doesn't take us too long to get through that. But I like I said, I had some detailed questions, and I will think of them more readily if we run through it real quick. But
Mhm.
one thing I would be remiss if I didn't bring up is the weird way that this movie sort of um predicts some of Jamie Foxx's later career. He's playing a guy named Max.
Yeah, I thought of that too. And he's got the weird mom thing.
Yeah, and there are other parallels with his character in this and with Amazing Spider-Man. He's not the same kind of like aloof, antisocial guy. I honestly wish his character in Amazing Spider-Man was more like this guy.
I agree. His character, like their version of Electro, I think this would have been more like actual Electro, but he would have been a way better character because he's a cartoon character in that movie. And
But don't you feel like this is probably the reason he got that part?
yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. The big thing that this has over that is there's no part where his teeth is CGI like fixed by electric eels.
Well, yeah, yes, that's true. But again, with that first 10 minutes, it could have gone in any direction, Austin. Like,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, this would, like I said, this would have been closer to a comic book Electro. He's just like a working class guy.
yeah, and again, he's a little similar in that he is like he's not he's not taking the kinds of risks that he'd like to do in living life on his own terms.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
he feels like he's kind of settling. He is very alone. You know, nobody's really paying attention to him.
Hmm.
And yeah, I didn't even think about the mom thing. That's true.
Yeah, that was the first thing. I didn't really think about that, but it's got that with the boss. I think that didn't hit me because it's way more realistic. Like it's not as kind of stupid and off the wall as that is with like the employee stuff in Amazing Spider-Man 2. But the mom thing kind of hit me where I was like, oh, it's not the same relationship again, but like it's kind of similar. And I can also see why you'd forget that because that stuff's all cut out of that movie.
Yeah, sort of like Connor's family in the first one.
Hmm. Yep.
The other thing that struck me was Jada Pinkett Smith's character is named Annie, and he will be in the All Black Annie movie later on.
I didn't think of that. That's really funny.
I
That Annie movie would have been better if it was just Collateral.
Yeah, probably so. Collateral is something of a double entendre title.
Hmm.
Is it
In what way?
is it not? Well, you've got the kind of obvious uh, meaning of that title, I guess, where you have Jamie Foxx has like actual collateral that or becomes collateral, I guess, for Tom Cruise's character, but then there's also like collateral damage that kind of sparks the whole thing in the first place.
Okay, yeah, that's
Right,
more
like,
so I was
that's
thinking
sort of
about
our
the
inciting
title.
incident.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. That's the way I was kind of thinking about it. But you're right, there is a double entendre there with it.
Austin, I was real quick before we go linear. I'll just kind of do sort of a quick sign flip thing. Obviously, I liked it a lot too, but it lost me a little bit in the third act, and I kind of wonder if it'll all come together for me on a second viewing, because I was really disappointed that I was having that experience with it. I was very distracted by and kind of again disappointed by the way Pinkett Smith's character comes back at the end. Like I said, where it got a little routine where it just became, they're being chased by this guy, and like, it's thrilling, it's well shot, like, and it's characters that I came to care about, so that's good. But I felt like all the interesting stuff the movie was about kind of fell away for a while, and then it comes back right at the end. Like, I did pick up on the thematic setup and payoff of that thing that he's talking about at the beginning, where he's like, somebody could just like die on a park bench, and people would, in the city, people would walk past and never notice them, and then that kind of happens with him at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like, in a weird kind of tragic way, like proving that philosophy. But I don't know, like, I thought it didn't move at the same clip. Like I felt like it was kind of overly long by the end. I don't know if I'll have that on a second viewing, but like, my mind started to wander a little bit with all the action stuff toward the end. I guess I just liked the movie more when it was like really talky.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, so much of it's talky, and it's really interesting back and forth. Like we said,
but
like,
maybe all that is earned, and I just didn't appreciate it on one viewing. Like,
yeah, no, I thought that stuff worked, but I can understand where you're coming from. I just thought it was tense and well done. But the best stuff in this movie is when you just have characters talking. Like, one of the most tense scenes in the movie is the jazz bar.
It's the best scene of the whole movie. It's wonderful, and I've always liked that actor. I don't remember his name, but he's usually typecast as cops. It was kind of interesting to see him on, sort of the other end of that.
I didn't recognize that guy, so
I don't know what I've seen him in, but he's kind of a character actor that, again, plays a lot of cops.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like, if I looked at his filmography, I'd be like, "Oh, okay,
that's right,
that, and that." But it was all smaller roles that I'm not thinking of. Absolutely. But yeah, that scene's really cool. You have Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx talking to this jazz musician about, like, just his history with jazz, and it becomes really tense. It almost becomes like a Tarantino scene where you're waiting for the shoe to drop.
Yeah, because that guy's not gonna get out of there. Like, he's gonna get killed. You just wonder how exactly.
When I'm so lost in I'm just into the jazz part, so I'm like,
so was I.
It's like completely, it's like that. What the movie was deleted out of my brain, and I was like, oh yeah, we're just hanging out now.
It's really good at that.
Stuff later. And because that's kind of how they set it up, where they're like, let's go get a drink and hang out at this jazz bar.
Yeah, did you buy that? Because I kind of did. It didn't even occur to me that he was going to go. But of course he was going to have to kill somebody there, because he's only got so much time over the evening, and he has to kill 5 different people. Also, let me back up a second and say, how much do you appreciate that the 5 people that he has to kill are all connected, and that it's not just like a, you don't have that question of how come they all have to be killed in one night? Like, why are there 5 of them? Why are they all these random people? Like, there's a ticking time bomb for the client, because he's gonna. Am I remembering this right? Isn't it like he's got a hearing the next day, and certain people are gonna testify?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So we got to pick off like the big person that's supposed to testify against him, and the lawyer, and other people connected to this case.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why. Probably around the midpoint, I was like, okay, well, it's got to be her, right? Like, she's got to be the last person, and that's how we kind of tie this all together. As we started peeling that back and realizing,
is that not a little easy?
I don't know. Like, I think it's fine. I don't think there's any way it could go. Like, I don't know. That was my reaction, anyways.
Yeah.
But I can understand where you're coming from. Like, it's that initial.
It's just she happens to get in his cab, and then the very next person that gets in that cab is him. And like, I don't mean to always call out, every single thing that seems just completely, like 2 people can never, cross paths randomly in a movie. Like, yes, that happens in real life, and yes, sometimes you have to have gimmies in movies to get the ball rolling. I'm wondering if this is a conceit that I just have to accept, or if there's another way to make that like a little bit more realistic. But I don't have a problem, for instance, with things like they passed the lead investigator in the hallway at the hospital, because it makes sense that they would
elevator.
It makes sense they would both be in that hospital right then.
So
it's like I buy stuff like that. And
Yeah.
even like Jada Pinkett Smith passing Tom Cruise in the airport at the beginning, like just setting up characters. They both wound up in that bill. Like I kind of buy all that. Fine. That's the sort of coincidence that's not really that big of a deal.
So I think it is obviously a conceit for what the movie is, but I think it works in that I think the movie knows and tries to get past that and says there's an explanation with Tom Cruise where he was scoping out her office, and that's the reason why he's there when Jamie Foxx drops her off and picks him up. But I also think it works in that he almost doesn't get in Jamie Foxx's cab. Like he's gonna get in that cab, and then there's like a moment where it looks like they could go off and he could get a different cab. Like I think the movie
You're right.
understands
That
it
helps
is
a little
conceit.
bit.
Yeah, exactly. So it adds like a little bit of detail that makes it.
Yeah, and at that point it
easier
becomes
to
a little
buy.
bit more about the happenstance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Where it's like, if we wouldn't have a story if these kind of random things the universe throws at us didn't happen to happen. Like,
and they're small enough that
butterfly
it
effect
doesn't bother me. Like it's just how it goes.
Okay, we've talked through this enough. I don't know if we actually need to do the play-by-play that I wanted to do.
We kind of did. We like started with it and then kind of jumped forward a little bit, but
I like little quibbles.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really bought that the jazz guy, the owner of the club, I wouldn't have known that story about Charlie Parker better than he did.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they were just trying to come up with some kind of a detail that Tom Cruise would know better than him so that he could have an excuse to shoot him then. I also wondered about his motivations a little bit there, where, like, again, I need to give it another watch, because I was like, does he need to be that sadistic? Like, it's a super tense scene,
mm-hmm.
and I like the way it unfolds, but I just wonder, like, character-wise, why does he do that to that guy?
Well,
why is he so awful?
And I think it probably helps that that's one of the only people we actually see him talk to and kill. Like the people before
Maybe he
that,
does it every time.
You don't see the conversations that he has with the other people.
That's true. He's got a kind of a Grim Reaper thing going on, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then the other person that he kills after that, everything's already gone to hell. They're in the middle of a club and people are starting to, shoot everywhere.
Maybe the idea, because I forgot about this aspect of it, maybe the idea is simply that he is lacking in empathy because of the way he was raised. We get a little bit about his background. It's maybe unreliable narrator.
Yeah, that's what I liked about that. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, like I was abused as a kid. It leaves it up in the air.
It's not a total sob story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think it
how
really
much of it can we
helps
believe? But there's got to be some grain of truth to it. I will say I buy that, especially because he's so specific about it.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing about it I think we can be pretty sure about his childhood that I think we can be pretty sure about is that he was, however terrible his father was or wasn't, he was raised by a man and there was no woman there. There was no good female role model. I think that's pretty safe to say. When he's like, my mom died like just after I was born, I never met her, I think that's probably true.
Yeah, exactly. No, I really like that moment where he goes, and then I killed my dad when I was 12. Really? No.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you.
No, that's true. Maybe he enjoys it too much. Maybe it's a lack of empathy thing. Because again, I'm just asking questions when I say motivation, because some of it I wasn't 100% sure why the script took it the way it took it. he's consistent with this because you have that bit very close to the beginning where Jamie Foxx is pleading with him to let him get out of it. Like the body hits the car. I don't think that was supposed to happen.
No, I don't think so. I think that's just like a coincidence that, he parked in that alley. Well, and we know it wasn't supposed to happen because Tom Cruise says that he shot the guy and the guy fell back and fell through the window. So, like, he wasn't supposed to fall out of the apartment.
Well, and again, he says all kinds of stuff. There's always that question about how much of it you're supposed to believe.
That is true, but I think that is true.
Well, and when he says, like, I was just supposed to have you drive me around all night and you would be none the wiser. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's got to be true because A, he doesn't bring Jamie Foxx with him upstairs. He's going to do that discreetly. And B, why on earth would he want to give Jamie Foxx a reason to run? Because he's got to put up with him trying to get away the whole rest of the night. Where, like, he throws his this is why I wanted to go play by play, because I want to talk about this stuff. He takes him to meet his mother begrudgingly. He doesn't want to have to do that. That's a wonderfully intense scene too. And then he runs out of the hospital. That was one of those really surprising moments where I was like, I love how proactive Jamie Foxx's character is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't expect it to go where it went with any of that.
But yeah, like he throws the briefcase and he makes Tom Cruise, lose all of his information, and he's constantly, trying to escape, and then of course he crashes the car on purpose later, which is an amazing sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a super tense scene, and it's funny because it's like the person that's really in danger in that scene is Tom Cruise, but it almost flips where your main protagonist has all the control, but it's still super tense, and that you don't know what's going to happen.
It seems like as I'm thinking of like complaints and negatives, I'm talking myself out of them as we're talking, like the more I'm giving myself time to think about it. So let's see if that happens again. When they get toward the beginning, Tom Cruise makes Jamie Foxx put the body in the car.
Yeah.
Put the body in the car. Puts the body in the car. And then the cop pulls them over.
Yeah.
And the cop's like, oh, there's blood on the windshield. He's like, I hit a deer. out here in LA. Okay. And that was pretty great. And then they make them get out of the car. And there's no way they're going to get out of this. And I'm like, how do you write them out of this? And then just conveniently they get another car and they get another call and they have to leave. And I was like, oh, that's a little easy.
I mean, yeah, but
sure, that kind of thing can happen, but it was just in that moment, it was so easy.
The thing is it's LA, so that's always happening, and as far as I'm concerned. But no, that is easy. I don't know, it doesn't really bother me. Like, that is a place where we wrote ourselves into a corner, and there's no real other way to get them out.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that never happens again.
It also, I think, helps that it's.
But
really
I did that in a book I wrote once, and I always regretted it, man. Where I had a character that was about to get killed or something, and like a cell phone rings, and like I always regretted doing that. And then I see it in a movie like this, and I'm like, this movie seems better than this scene.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely a fair bit of criticism.
Here's another question. If you're okay, so that I'm sticking my guns to. If you're Vincent, if you're Tom Cruise's character, and you're within the same city, I know I've had like gnats and stuff.
Yeah, I got him. Fucking. Oh.
He did it, folks. That's your one for the year.
It was mumbled.
You almost got it back in too.
I know. Yeah, I realized like partway through saying it.
So that was wonderful. I'm glad we got it on film.
That was a Guardians 3 open the door scene.
It really was. Just to open the friggin' door. So you're Vincent, right? Oh, hi, Hot Soup. Hot Soup is in the comments. He says, I think the cops got called to the murder Vincent just committed.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes.
better. See, and I actually, in the moment here, I was thinking, like, is it somehow related? Because
I
if it
didn't
is,
think
that's a
about
lot
that, but it would have been because
better.
Mark Ruffalo had just called the cops to that
And
spot.
then the reason he's in the hospital later is because he's in the morgue taking a look at the bodies,
Yep.
and he is looking for the guy that he knew from. Was he supposed to be undercover at the beginning? Was that the idea?
I don't think so. I think he's just like a detective and going to go see that guy to talk to him. I'm
Okay,
not entirely sure, but
I wasn't either.
I just like you, like I've only seen it the one time. So like, there's
James
some
Egan says you have to go to your naughty corner.
okay.
So anyway, if you're Tom Cruise's character and you know you're gonna have to kill 5 people in rapid succession over the course of the evening, and there's no way the cops aren't going to notice pretty quickly. Hey, all these people were killed by the same person, or like they all happened around the same time, or like over a couple hours away from each other. You start to get suspicious. Why wouldn't you try to kill them all in different ways? Like, why wouldn't you try to make them all look like somebody else did it? Like, they're all done the exact same way. And the reason Ruffalo is able to get on his trail the way he does is mostly because the MO is the same. Like, or not the MO, but like the way, the method, like the way he kills them. I would have mixed it up a lot.
I think probably he wouldn't have issues normally because he'd be a lot faster. Like you got that jazz thing where they're constantly improvising because things keep going wrong.
Yeah.
So like I also think part of that is if things went smoothly, it would have been like boom, 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 and by the time that they noticed that, he would mostly be done. Because I think we've already derailed at least twice by the point that they figure everything out.
Yes,
Or
he's
not
really
everything.
flying by the seat of his pants at that point.
Yeah,
exactly. And he's being forced to improvise even more because the guy that he's conscripted to be his partner keeps getting in his way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But I think Ruffalo kind of figures out that morgue stuff like around when. Oh yeah, no, of course it's around when, because they're both in the hospital.
Yeah,
it would have been around when the briefcase was thrown out. It's like they're already off track at least twice because they've been pulled over. They had to stop to pick up that body. They had to stop to go to the hospital. Like there's already quite a few moments where we've had to stop and take like quite a bit of time out of from what they were doing.
Yeah, I'm really interested to look at it again, and I'll probably show it to my wife because I think she would enjoy this quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely one of the smarter thrillers that I've seen, and I just have some reservations about the ending.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love how character driven it is.
The ending has the one moment where I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm watching Tom Cruise," where he starts running, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's Tom Cruise. He's running. He's running, folks.
We got to do that.
Tom Cruise run."
I saw somebody in a comment about this movie on a video or an article or something say it's kind of weird that like 20 years later, Tom Cruise looks like younger in movies now than he did in this because they make his hair gray and like we're always trying to make Tom Cruise look real young in movies, but here we're trying to make him look older.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. This is right before he doesn't want to be old in anything. He could maybe have a age appropriate love interest if he had a love interest in this movie.
How did you feel about the way the movie kind of just ends? Like, did you want any kind of an epilogue? Did you want any sense of where Fox is going to be after this? Like, did you need any kind of payoff? Is he going to get his business started? What does he take from this whole thing? Does he and Pinkett Smith get together?
So I like that stuff's more ambiguous because I feel like the pieces are all there. Where, like, it almost feels like it would be.
You think it's told us enough?
Yeah, exactly. Especially like, he would have legal issues, but he's with a lawyer. Like, I feel like some of that stuff having to go through it would be. I'm trying to think of the word like just kind of obvious answers.
I thought that was going to get so gimmicky. And I was really impressed with the movie for not making a really obvious, like, obnoxious, dramatic spectacle out of the kind of the kind of pseudo frame up job, where for a minute the cops think that Fox is actually Vincent. And I thought he was going to get arrested as Vincent, and then we were going to have to watch, like, a whole trial unfold or something like that. Like,
Oh, interesting.
I thought there'd be a time jump, maybe. Like, I was really impressed that we didn't go there.
I thought he was
Because I felt
gonna
like we
go
were setting
after-
that up for a while. Like, the fact that he the fact that he kind of went into the lion's den pretending to be Vincent, and so, like, they think he's Vincent, and then now the cops, right? Because there is a bit, this is another tiny thing I wanted to complain about, because there's the bit where Captain Braxton from Star Trek Voyager is, like, listening in on, like what they're able to hear of the conversation that the two of them have before Jamie Foxx goes kind of undercover as Vincent. And we actually hear from the cops' side of it with what they're able to pick up with their microphones. The exchange where one says, you're Vincent, and the other one says, okay, I'm Vincent. And I'm like, it's obvious that one of these guys is giving the other one the name. I don't know how they don't pick up on that. Because then they actually think Jamie Foxx is the hitman. I don't get how they don't understand what's going on.
Well, I don't think it picks up them when Tom Cruise tells him that he's going to be Vincent.
Yeah, it does though.
Does it?
Yeah.
I thought it just gets him when he goes to the club and he's talking to the bouncers.
Oh, no. That's true. But what I'm saying is, they explicitly play us the bit where Tom Cruise says your name is Vincent, and then he says I'm Vincent, and I'm like, how do the cops not get what's happening here?
Yeah, I don't remember that being what we see. I just remember it being him talking to the bouncers where he's saying that he's Vincent.
Okay, I'd have to go back and look at that scene again and play you what I think I'm pretty sure I saw. Because Hot Soup is agreeing with you, but I swear to God, there's a bit where they're listening to the two of them talking, and maybe I'm off. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's him talking to the bouncers, because they have that's what's mic'd, is like the front of the club.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm Vincent. I'm here to see whatever.
I'm probably wasting everybody's time right now.
Waste your time. Evolution's back, folks.
It's back. It's what we do now. Tell your friends.
Yeah, no, because he goes into the club, not that one, but like the one later where they have the big shootout.
Yeah.
And the FBI is coming to get him, and Mark Ruffalo, who kind of realizes that there's something else going on, and he walks away with Jamie Foxx. And I thought we were going to go somewhere with that, where like he was going to go off with Mark Ruffalo for a while, and the FBI was going to go with him, and then Tom Cruise was going to have to improvise and figure out.
I was shocked
else.
Ruffalo got killed.
I
did
was shocked.
Not see that coming.
I was like writing that. I'm like plotting forward what the movie's going to be, and then he walks through a doorway and gets shot.
They just took that character out completely, and that was a gut punch, man. And
it was.
You don't feel bad. I mean, like, Ruffalo's character seems like a nice enough, capable enough cop, but you don't feel bad for him. You feel bad for Fox, because that was his only lifeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think it also helped that, like I said, I was so into the movie that there was a point where I went like, oh, could Tom Cruise die right here? Like, I'm not even thinking like Mark Ruffalo could die in this scene.
The stakes seem high enough that like anything can happen, because you've already been, again, this is the distinction between a gimmicky plot twist and just like surprising turns of events. Where, like, technically, yes, plot twists, but not like just twists that are contrived to make you go, wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you believe this happened in movie?
Yeah, and you're like, Well, I was really surprised by it, but then when I think about it for 5 seconds, yes, I can believe that happened.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Once
It's
the track
credible.
is all there, you realize, like, of course, it's the only way.
It does not feel, and who knows how this script was put together. It doesn't feel outlined. It feels totally character driven.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
Especially if I'm, and it sounds like I am, especially if I'm wrong about things like uh, the call with the cops, where it's like it's all actions and consequences from our characters making things happen.
Mhm. Yeah, no, exactly. It's not like the characters are getting dragged along by
What we
the
think of
story.
as a plot twist is, and then this guy that you know from some other thing suddenly showed up.
And then Javier Bardem is there.
Yeah, you know, or I, and then you get struck by lightning. That's a plot twist. I guess more of a twist would be like, and then it turns out that he was the main character's brother, like long lost brother. Ooh, soap opera type twist. This doesn't have that.
Tom Cruise is Jamie Foxx's dad, and also Jada Pinkett's dad.
Mind blown. Soap opera type stories can be fun in their own way, but like I don't know how people are legitimately impressed by stories like that. How'd you come up with that kind of thing? It's like anybody could do that. Anybody could come up with a twist like that.
Although, because you said it now, now I want to see the version of this movie where Tom Cruise is hit by lightning, and then it gives him like extra power at the end, and he can run faster.
He becomes the Reverse Flash.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of the Flash, Austin, next time we're going back to comics, man.
We're doing something Flash related.
We're doing something that I think has Flash in it.
Oh.
And you know about this, by the way. We're doing the 80s DC event, and Doolittle asked us to do this called Legends.
Oh, okay. I figured that was way off. Okay.
No, that's
Cool.
next. It's next on the list.
Cool, cool. I'm really excited to read that.
Yeah, so look forward to it. We're going to do comics again next time. Yeah, overall, I like this movie a lot. I predict I will like it even more on a second viewing. Because it will probably nick a lot of my issues.
In my heart, I can't say this is a better movie than Evil Dead 2 or Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, but I can see the argument for it. But I can't say that.
Yeah, and it's easily in my top 10 of stuff we've done on this show. I don't think I liked it as well as you did, but I also think that there's probably some stuff that didn't come together for me that, again, might on another review. So, like, I'm pretty sure with another watch, this probably is Hall of Fame material. I don't know right now if it is.
Oh, interesting.
I need a second watch before I can say definitively Hall of Fame material.
Interesting. I figured this was a definite Hall of Fame for both of us. Interesting.
It's so close. But it's funny because I wasn't sure. I actually thought I was maybe going to like this more than you did. So it's really interesting that you're like maybe best thing or real close to best thing we've done. Like I don't right away put. Yeah, I can't put it above like what was it? 47 Ronin. No, not
Seven Samurai.
Seven Samurai. Thank you. I don't know if I put it above that. Like,
okay, so this is where you get into just the semantics of it all.
Right.
No, of course, but like also this is more my thing than Seven Samurai is. Well,
and I think it is me too, to be honest with you. But
so like that's where it becomes like a weird, like, yeah, I don't know. Like I put both Jack Ryan movies over Seven Samurai, which is incredibly blasphemous. But it's just more what I'm into.
Well, folks, we're going to go ahead and bid you farewell for tonight for the ReQuest. Austin and I are going to come right back, though, in a few minutes and bring back an old beloved series on the channel called Geeks Not Nerds. And we haven't done one of these in a real long time. We're not going to promise how often this will happen. I said recently I won't start any new series, but we've been doing occasional discussion videos.
Not new. It's a reboot.
Yeah, well, and I figure we've been doing these occasional discussion videos. Why not put them under that old banner again and just do one when we think of one? We've been doing videos after ReQuest on Wednesday night quite a bit lately because I'm shooting less often, but sometimes I can do another video right after. So I figured, yeah, let's go ahead and do this under the Geeks Not Nerds banner. So come back for that if you're so inclined. If you'd like to make a request on the for the show, you can go to patreon.com/geekvolution. The $15 tier makes that possible. You can request a movie, a TV show pilot, or a comic miniseries, graphic novel, something like that. And we appreciate you guys. Thanks a ton. We're going to go ahead and get going now. But I was Captain Logan. And this was Austin. Did you say I was me?
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.